Hi guys, and how you doing? Today we're going to be learning about how to add text behind your videos, just like these examples right here. Without further ado, let's get going. Okay, and so to begin with, let's add our video clip. I'm just going to reduce the length of this one because I don't need it to be that long. And what I'm going to do is first click on the clip that I've added, hold down the Alt key. So just gonna do that. I'm gonna add one more above it. There we go. So it's to video track 3, and in video track 2, we have nothing. We've kept a space between the two of them. With that, now we're gonna click on the copy of the video, which is on video track 3. We're gonna go to the color page. We're gonna go to the window tab that's over here, and we're gonna make sure that we click on the pen tool, which is the one right here. So with this pen tool, if I scroll out, I can zoom out, and I'm just going to actually create a very simple, I'm going to zoom in, use the middle mouse to just move my image around, and I'm just going to take a selection of the buildings of the skyline. So let me just fast forward through all of that. Okay, and so that was just a very quick selection and very rough. When you're actually going to be doing this, you should take your time and do it very slowly. But just as today's example, we're going to do this really rough. And now all we have to do is to complete the selection, is to make sure that we join the first selection point to the last selection point. And that's what I'm going to be doing right here. And with that, we have completed the selection, and we can see that the sky or the skyline is actually going to has disappeared, because that is now going to become transparent. So we can click on the highlight button here, and this is the way the image is, and we can click it once again to see what has been selected. So we could see that it's actually all of the buildings that has only been selected and nothing above the buildings. And now let's go to the tracking window, which is right here, because we need to ensure that as the video moves, our selection remains the same. So all I'm going to do is click on this tracking window and then click on this button right here, which says track forward and reverse. So in case if your playhead was somewhere in the middle over here, if you click this, it will go both forward and reverse as well. If you are, for example, just like I have done, where I'm at the beginning of my video, if I can just click the track forward. But I always just like to do this one. And with that, we can scrub through and see the selection. So if I scrub through, I can see that the selection is there. Although what I would like to do is we could see that the selection is actually kind of going within the window, and I just want it to be outside. So I'm just going to go right here, and we can change this to be a little wider. I'm going to go ahead and just pan it once again. That should be fine. Okay. So with that, now that we have scrubbed through, we could see that as the video is moving, as it's rotating, that the selection remains the same, and that's exactly what we want. So now all I'm going to do is right-click on the node window right here, say Add Alpha Output. We could see that there is now a blue square. We connect that to the blue circle, and if we go back to the edit page, we can now add a text between the two. So I'm just going to go to my effects, and here in titles, going to just select text plus. I'm going to make it the same length as our video. I'm going to click on the text plus box, and over here, I'm going to change the text to say my city. We can actually change the font and the color, But first, let's see where the text is. So all I'm going to do is click on the text box, make sure I go to settings, and in position, I'm just going to put this up and we could see that our text is there. I'm going to go back to title because I want to change the font. So let's just make this into Noto Sans Serif. Let's make this bold, change the color to anything that you want. I'm going to make it like this. I'm going to change the size so that it's big. And the beauty of having a text plus box is you can add more text effects to it. So for example, I'm just going to go to the shading and I'm going to go to number 3 where it adds a shadow. I'm going to say enabled and I have my shadow right there. Perfect. And so now let's just go back and play our video clip and we can see that right here, our text is actually going behind the video clip, which is perfect. So I'm just going to zoom in and you can see that it's as the video is playing, our text is going behind the clip. And that's exactly what we want. But we also notice that there's actually some sort of discrepancy with our mask because I've done it really fast. So let's just go back to the color. Make sure you click on video clip 3, go to the color tab, and over here, we could see our selection. So what we're going to do is just click here and go to off because now that we've taken out the white line, we can see how sharp this selection is. The difference between what is selected and not selected. It actually is quite sharp and quite obvious. And that's why we could see that discrepancy earlier on over here. So we're going to go to the color page and all we're going to do is go back to the power window. We're going to turn off the white lines and over here we could just soften up the edge between what is selected and what is not selected. And we could also change the inside and outside softness. I'm just going to turn on the white line to show you what is happening. So if I change the inside, we could see that we're changing the softness that's inside our selection. And for the outside, we could see how far we want to change the outside from the selection. So with that, I'm actually just going to turn this off because it's easier to see it without the white line. So I don't need it to be that obvious. That's fine. Let's just do some of that. Yeah, that's fine right there. So now if we go back to our edit, we can see that it's actually improved. This was only because of a rough selection. Definitely I would need to go in there, spend more time to kind of select, to make the selection quite better. So we could see what the difference is over there. If I wanted, I mean, it's just about creating it better. So you could see what the change happened instantaneously right over here. Now let's just understand what's actually happening with this effect. If we turn off video track 3 over here, we can see that the text actually comes in front of the video itself because the text is sitting up here. And so now if I activate video track 3, we could see that the text goes behind. And if I turn off video track 1 with only track 3 selected, we could see actually that from video track 3, what has happened is we have told that everything above the skyline should be transparent. And that is what's happening. This is the only reason why our text box, which is on video track 2, can be seen very clearly. So I'm just going to activate video track 1. And we could see that our text appears behind our video. Now let's just add a quick effect. I'm going to select our text box. I'm going to go to settings. I'm just going to say that I want our text to appear from here. And by the time we reach on this side of our video, I want the, oh, that was my mistake. Make sure once again that the text box is selected. By mistake, every time I move the playhead, video track 3 will always get selected, and that's because of the audio track selector. So just make sure that you select the text. I'm going to go here and I want the text to appear right there in that position. So with that, if I go all the way back, I'm just going to make it full screen, and we could see our text appearing from behind the skyline, and that's exactly what we wanted. And now I'm going to show you a second method on how to achieve the same effect, but unfortunately, this is only with the studio version, because the studio version actually makes this whole process much easier. So I'm just going to add our second video on video track 1. I'm going to do the same thing, which is hold down the Alt key and drag it to video track 3. I'm going to make sure that I've selected the video on video track 3, go to the color page, and over here with the studio version, you get a magic mask. With the magic mask, I just make sure that I go right over here, which is for a person mask, which just selects people much better. And now I'm just going to draw a line on the woman, and we can see that magically Resolve has actually selected the woman as well. If I click on the toggle mask overlay, we could see that everything selected in red is what DaVinci has selected. So I want to make sure that the camera is not selected and that her handbag is selected. So what I'm going to do is click on the minus eyedrop. Going to just draw a small line here. Now we can see that the camera is no longer selected. Going to click on the plus eyedrop and just going to draw on the bag. And there we go. So we can see that the bag is selected. Now I'm just going to click on the toggle mask overlay. We can see that once again, and we can see once again the edges between what is selected and not selected is actually quite sharp. So over here, we're just going to go to the blur radius and we're going to increase that. And as well as to the clean black, just reduce that, increase that, sorry. As well as the in and out ratio, just going to reduce that to add that in. So with whatever video clip you're using, these settings, you just actually play around with them. There's no hard and fast rule, but it just comes down to how the mask was selected. And now all I'm going to do is once again click on the track forward and backward button right here so that it tracks it throughout the whole video. Now, depending on how powerful your computer is, it can take some time or it can actually happen quite quickly. Okay, so now DaVinci went ahead and has actually tracked the person and her handbag throughout the whole video. Just a quick tip is you can actually ensure to choose the quality to be better and then faster, because you'll actually get a better mask. But currently with my system having both a screen recording software as well as with DaVinci Resolve running, it's actually quite strained right now. Otherwise, if I wasn't recording, I would have actually selected better, which would have taken a little longer, but would have given me a better selection. And so now once again, I'm going to right click on the node window, select alpha output, going to connect these two, going to go to the edit page and go to effects, go to text plus. I'm just going to add a text box right here and going to change the text to beach. We can select anything that we want, change the color. Let's increase the size as well. We can see our text is right there, but the font I have chosen was not good. Okay, let's do that. And for this one, I'm just going to change the rotation angle to minus 90 degrees because that's what I want, and I can change the position of the text box to be here. I'm going to go ahead, just reduce the size because that was a bit too big. And I can position it how I want, so I can move it up a bit as well. Great. So now if I play the video, we can see it's a bit choppy, but also the text is actually behind the image itself. We can see that the image, our video, and the text are actually interacting with one another, and that's what we were looking for. So once again, if you have the studio version, this makes the process much easier, because otherwise you would actually have to go to the window, the power window, and select the woman manually throughout the whole image. So with the magic mask, all you got to do is just draw a quick line, and DaVinci Resolve does the rest. So we're just going to go to our media pool. I'm going to add a third clip right here. Now I'm going to hold the Alt key once again. I'm going to move it to the third track. I'm going to make sure that my third track is selected. Go to the color page, and over here we're going to use a third method called HSL. So if we just go to the eyedropper, we could see HSL, which stands for hue, saturation, and luminance. Now, this method only works when your image has basically two contrasting colors, right? So for example, over here, I've got this really bright blue, and then I've got the brown. So what I can do is just make sure that the eyedropper over here is selected. All I'm going to do is just, once again, I'm dragging my mouse as I'm selecting it. I'm going to let go of the mouse button, and we can see everything has been selected. So right now I selected only the blue. So that is what is being shown. But actually what I want is the inverse. I want to invert the mask because I want everything except for the sky to be selected. So all we do is click right here to invert that mask, and we can see everything except for the sky has been selected. But now you'll notice that actually the selection wasn't that great. So all we have to do is we can clean up the black, and there we go. We can see that it's actually getting better over there, and change some of the clean white. I'm going to just blur the difference between the two because that makes the selection look much better. And now, same as before, we're just going to right click on the node window, add an alpha output. Going to connect these two. We're going to go to our edit, and just like before, add a text. All right, change the title. I'm going to say desert for this one. I'm going to just change the position of the text so I can see what it is. There it is. I can choose my font. Choose my color. Change the size. And right now itself, we could see how the text and the mountain in front of it is interacting together. So our text is behind the mountain as if it's appearing from behind the mountain. And that's what we're going to do. So what I'm just going to click on the text window, go to our settings page, and I want the text to start from here. And by this time, I want the text to appear above the mountain right there. So perfect. If we go back and I play that, we can see the text appearing from behind the mountain. And that's exactly what we want. And that's it. Now you know 3 different ways to make your shots look better. Let your imagination run wild on how you would like to use this effect. Thank you for watching. Let me know what else you would like me to make a video on. And with that, guys, have a great day. But please don't forget to smash that subscribe button. All right, guys, bye.